There was once a blind boy who lived in a small town. He tried to live like other children, but people around him were not kind. The boys in his neighborhood often teased him. They made fun of his blindness and treated him as if he had no value. The boy tried to ignore their words, but every insult hurt him deeply. Slowly, he started believing that maybe they were right. He often thought, maybe I am really useless. Maybe God made a mistake with me. One day, after being insulted badly, he walked out of the town with tears in his eyes. He felt humiliated and helpless. He decided to end his life and walked without knowing where he was going. He only wanted to be alone, away from everyone. After walking for a long time, he reached the forest outside the town. He followed the sound of the river and reached the river bank. It was quiet and he felt lonelier than ever. He whispered to himself, maybe it is better if I am not here at all. He took a step towards the edge of the river. At that moment, he heard a calm voice behind him. If you end your life today, the world will never know the strength you were born with. The boy stopped and turned around. A wise old monk was standing there with the help of a wooden stick. The monk smiled gently, held the boy's hand, and said, "Come, sit with me for a while." He took the boy under the shade of a tree and asked him to tell his story. The boy told him everything, how people made fun of him and how useless he felt because of his blindness. The monk listened carefully and then said, "Let me tell you a story. Listen to it carefully. If after this story you still want to do what you came here for, I will not stop you." And the monk began his story. Once in a forest, there was a tree that looked very different. Its trunk was twisted and its branches were bent in all directions. Next to it were many straight and tall trees touching the sky. Those straight trees often made fun of the twisted tree. They said, "Look at us, we are tall and straight, and you are crooked and useless." The twisted tree felt sad and weak whenever it heard them. It always felt inferior. One day, a wood merchant came to the forest. He looked at the trees and said, "These trees are perfect for furniture. Cut all of them." The next day, his workers came with axes and started cutting the trees. When they came to the twisted tree, the merchant stopped them and said, "Leave this one. Its shape is too uneven. We cannot use its wood." And so, the twisted tree was left standing. All the straight trees were cut down, but the tree that everyone made fun of was still alive and still standing. The monk paused and said, "That day, the twisted tree understood that what it thought was its weakness was actually his strength and the reason it was saved." After telling the story, the monk looked at the boy and said, "My son, remember this. If nature takes something away from us, it also gives us something else that is special and more powerful." He placed his hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "You feel weak because you cannot see, but do you know what you have?" The boy slowly shook his head. The monk said, "Your hearing is sharper than any other child in this town. You can recognize people by the way they walk. You understand people's feelings just by their voice. Your memory is strong because you don't depend on your eyes. You notice things with your awareness, not with sight." The boy listened quietly. No one had ever told him these things before. The monk said, Your eyes may not work, but your inner senses are strong. This is your strength. One day, these abilities will take you further than normal sight ever could. The boy lifted his face slowly. For the first time, he felt there might be something good in him. The monk stood up and said, "Don't end your story before knowing the gift you were born with." The boy took a deep breath. The river was still flowing, but the darkness inside him had started to fade. He stood up, not to jump, but to walk back and start his life again. In our lives, we often judge ourselves by looking at what we cannot do. If we are not good at something, we immediately call it a weakness. But the truth is, not being good at one thing simply means you are meant for something else. Every person has a unique ability, a special strength, a natural gift. Some people find it early, and some much later, and some never look for it because they are too busy comparing themselves with others. The twisted tree survived because of the same shape it felt ashamed of. In the same way, the quality you dislike in yourself today may become your biggest advantage tomorrow. You are not useless. No human being is. The problem is not that we lack strength. The problem is that we don't recognize the strength we already have. Therefore, stop comparing yourself to others. Their path is not your path. Their talent is not your talent. And their success has nothing to do with your journey. Look at yourself with honesty, not doubt. Ask yourself, what can I do that others cannot? What comes naturally to me? What makes me feel alive? Because everyone is a champion in something. You just need to find in which field. Once you discover your strength, the world that ignored you will start noticing you, and the things you once saw as flaws might become the reason you rise. Remember, you are not less, you are different, and sometimes different is exactly what the world needs.